أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث وأصلح لي شأني كله ولا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. اللهم صل وسلم على محمد. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you very much for coming. We are continuing our discussion on the 20th word. We are discussing a very interesting verse from Surah Al-Baqarah, and it says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And yet, after all this, your hearts hardened and became like rocks, or even harder. For behold, there are rocks from which streams gush forth, and behold, there are some from which, when they are cleft, water issues, and there are some that fall down for awe of God. And God is not unmindful of what you do. This is verse number 74 from chapter 2. So as you can see, the verse is about rocks, and the author is trying to understand why are these certain qualities being mentioned about rocks, and how are they related to our hearts. And he takes each verse or each phrase separately and tries to explain it and find meaning in it. When I read this verse today again, my questions were, when the verse said this, after all this your heart's hardened. So I asked myself, does that mean my heart can be hardened by choice? Then the second question was, why the rock example? And my last question was, what is it that I'm doing that God is not unmindful of? I think the author responds to the why the rock example, but I didn't finish reading the word, but I haven't found yet, is the heart hardened by choice, by my own choice? And it's a question, if anybody has an answer, please let me know. Okay. We can start reading from where we left off. Go ahead, Brother Ed. Do you have an answer to my question?
Not necessarily guaranteed answer, but these are legitimate questions. First of all, we have to bear in mind that Quran speaks to human beings. We should always remember this reality. Quran speaks to human beings, and general body of the human beings are general public, not specialized people. So accordingly, Quran takes the example that everybody can understand, not giving an example from what is going on in the universe from the creation, that only experts benefits from it. But this example must be used or utilized as a means of understanding the message. So simple people like me, not very well educated people like me, and experts also understands and benefits from these examples. That's why in the eye of anybody, if you say that this person has a heart like a stone on rock, everybody understand what it means. It means he has no compassion, he has no submission, he has no commitment to any other beings superposition, so that he will submit himself and obey his command. That is the expression, I think, maybe, I'm guessing, I don't know, but I'm guessing in all languages, this expression must be used in one way or another. This shows me that, demonstrates me that when I read the Quran, I will understand definitely according to the level of my capacity and within the conditions of my own life. I shouldn't really imagine that, oh, these are some different difficult subjects which are known to only experts. I shouldn't have this in my mind, or I shouldn't be in this position. So why this is the rock example. Rock example is understood, but your choice, your question is hardened by choice. Why? The question is why the heart becomes hardened. Of course, it is out of our choice. If we choose to disobey the creator of the universe, creator of my feelings, I become senseless. I choose to be senseless towards what my creator is offering to me, and I will be just protecting my own ego like a rock. Be really indifferent, if not rejecting the command of or desire of will of my creator. The last one is, what is it that I am doing? Of course, everybody should think of himself, herself. That's a good question. Am I really taking notice of my creator? Am I really taking notice of the purpose of my existence? Am I really listening to my feelings, what really they are asking for, rather than I am going to declare my independence from my creator and being harder than the rock in the example? But we will see and we will bear in mind that the author explains this subject, why Quran talks about the different conditions of the rocks. Why? Because it is interesting. First of all, it's a practical example, and also the way the universe is created, the earth is created in front of our eyes. We see that the rocks demonstrate something by some human feelings, some human attitudes, and becomes an example so strong, looks so strong, but we will read and see that even the rocks become soil, earth, and earth become as if the mother of the plants. And the plants are so delicate beings. So we will see examples, we will talk about it when we read the related passages, But this is the example given in the Quran on the demand of the prophet Moses, that Prophet Moses was receiving the message from the Creator, and the Creator had an as if very humanly friendly conversation with the Prophet Moses, and the Prophet Moses got excited when he said, "What are you doing with the stuff in your hand?" These are examples. These are not our subject. That is why we are not talking about the details of this story. But what is related to us here that we have to bear in mind, which kind of method the author is using to explain this matter. And the miraculous language of the Quran, miraculous demonstration of the Quran, how related to our real life, we will see and we will be satisfied with it. So Moses, the prophet Moses, asks God if he can see him, because he receives the voice and of course revelation, and he has not seen him, which is impossible to see him, but because God's existence at a completely different level of existence. So it is impossible to communicate as a created being with the Creator, who is by definition the absolute being, infinite being. So God said, "You cannot see me. You will not be able to see me because you are a created being, and you are not given any capacity of absoluteness, because absolute by definition can be only absolute. Any created being by definition cannot be absolute. By definition, if it is created, cannot be absolute, limited, dependent." So we understand that Allah said to Moses, "You cannot see me, but look at the mountain, so strong in the eye of the person." And Quran says Allah reflected his command, his qualities on the mountain, and the mountain became crumbled down and couldn't resist against Allah's will, demonstrating that you can only understand God by his act of creation, by manifestations of his qualities, not exactly his own essence and exactly his absolute qualities, but manifestations of it. This was the example. And then the Quran further explains Moses became shocked. Why? And also lost his consciousness for a while. How the word, I couldn't remember the word. Lost himself for a while because of the realization that when God manifests, everything becomes so clear that this can only be the work of the one who created the universe. So we see that mountains, the rocks, crumble into dusts and become earth, and when the earth becomes the bedrock of bed for the plants, and the plants grow there, and we see that out of soil, out of water, a beautiful billions of different kinds of animate beings are created. But the source is just inanimate matter. So this can only be realized, performed by the one who created it. So using this Quranic method of understanding how we should really be sure about the existence of God, how we should really observe his presence, his manifestations in this world, and make sure that this can only be done by the one who has given existence to the universe. Applying it here and applying this understanding, this verses presentation of God to these verses which makes the comparison as an example between the rocks being so solid but obedient to the Creator's command, and teaching human beings that your heart should be also obedient to the command of your Creator, and you have to be submissive to him, to his command. Admit his, if you like, position as the Creator and yourself as a created being, creature. So communicate with your Creator accordingly. Giving this example, the author says this example demonstrates how miraculous explanation that God presents to us by giving an example, so that we have to take lesson. How can I have a heart much harder than the rocks? Then I don't obey and acknowledge my Creator and obey his command, his will, and submit myself to him, acknowledging that I am created by the one who created the whole universe, or creates the whole universe. This is why what we are learning here from these examples, that the miraculous explanation of the Quran really makes sense for us, and we understand this is that's an very practical example for us in this world. We have to check ourselves. What is it that I am doing? Is that a very good question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's see what the author has for us. This is where we left off. O children of Israel and sons of Adam, what sort of heart do you bear within your weakness and impotence, so that with its hardness it resists the command of such a one? Whereas how perfectly and obediently the huge strata of hard rocks carry out their delicate duties in the darkness before his commands, they display no disobedience. I'm glad you underlined the part that says, what sort of heart do you bear within your weakness and impotence? I thought, oh, this is very interesting. I don't know what it means yet, but it's very interesting that the author is bringing these qualities. He's almost like reminding me of, your heart can be hardened, but then you're also weak and impotent. So how does that make sense? How do I make sense of myself, knowing that I have the choice, basically of being hard or having a hard heart, while knowing very well that I am weak or needy or impotent. Okay. Do you want to comment on that now, or should I keep reading and then we'll...
The point is we have to accept our reality, isn't it? I am impotent, I am needy. It means I cannot create anything. I cannot change the order of the universe. I cannot guarantee my future. And anything that I have been given are not my creation. They are given to me, and I am blessed with my existence. I am blessed with my life. I am blessed with all my human qualities. And I cannot really hold them. I cannot really keep them as I want. I am totally dependent, but still I may choose in my relationship with my creator a hard position, even harder attitude than the rocks. So I must be ashamed of myself, what I'm doing, contradicting my own self, my own reality, by choosing the wrong option.
Thanks. All right. Indeed, those rocks act as treasures for the water of life and other means of life of all the living creatures above the earth, and are the means for their division and distribution. They do this with such wisdom and justice that they are soft like wax or air in the hand of power of the all-wise one of glory, offering no resistance. They prostrate before his mighty power. This might be a bit repetitive in my questions, but here I thought, is this how my heart needs to be? Soft or in the hand of power of the all-wise one of glory. What if I attached my heart to the wrong thing? It seems like it's going to be a little bit torturing. Like, it's interesting that the reading is kind of helping me see the heart as a movable thing, or something that I have a choice about. And if that's the case, then there's a very serious decision to make about what to attach my heart to, because then it seems to be, what's the word? Maybe corresponding or in line with. I'm not sure what the right word is, but it's almost like if I attach my heart to, say, to an object, then whatever happens to the object affects me. If I attach my heart to the creator, then whatever I know about the creator affects me. Yeah. That's it. Does anybody want to add anything, or should I keep reading? Again, sorry if I'm just sharing random thoughts. Okay, I guess.
Basic idea is very basic idea. we have to see ourselves in relation with my being and the source of the existence of my being. I may just ignore it and take an arrogant attitude and forget that I am a created, needy being. I am a created, needy being, and declare my independence and start acting according to my caprices, according to my egoistic hard position that I'm not going to submit myself to my reality and I have to be the director, commander of my own life. That is not reality. That's why we have to understand while we are making a choice, I have to obey the order of the universe. I am a created being, and I have to think of how my creator asks me or expects me to do. And for this, I have to acknowledge that my feelings are the means of acknowledging my reality and the reality of my creator, rather than blocking the way of my feelings to acknowledge the creator and start within myself as an independent, self-existing, self-decisive being. So lots of things I do, for example, without realizing that I am carried away by social values, by my caprices, by my, for example, one of the main human weaknesses, jealousy. By comparing with something, trying to declare my superiority over other people, other beings. That is, these are the things that I have to be careful about, understanding that every being in the universe is subject to the will of their creator. So I should be also, I should submit myself, my feelings to my creator rather than owning them and being directed by them. So we have to be careful to understand our reality and take the example of everything apart from human beings. All creatures act according to the way that they are created. Only human beings have the option not to accept this reality. And I feel that myself, I mostly ignore this in my life, and I'd start living as if I am an independent being. And everything, my feelings, are given to me in order to understand who my creator is, so that I should submit to him. What I do, I choose as if I am the owner of my feelings, as if the owner of my feelings, and by declaring that I am the owner, I use my feelings, putting my own egoistic, arrogant attitude in this commanding position and interpreting everything according to my self-centered concerns. That's what we are doing. Appropriating the creation to ourselves, saying, this is my work, this is my acquisition, my gaining, I deserve it, I am superior over everything, as if when I buy something, for example, or I do a work, for example, I say, this is my property now, and this is my success now. All me, and not seeing the reality of myself. That is what we have to take the lesson from these examples. Thank you. So of course, as you said, when I don't accept myself, my reality, I torture myself. Why? Because I am going against my nature. I cannot really comfortably accept my reality and submit my feelings to the will of their creator, so that I will use my feelings according to the will of my creator. If I don't do that, as if I try to behave, I am an independent being, I can do anything. These are my successes. It's this kind of understanding. These are my property. I use it as I want. And whatever I gained from this world will really sustain me and satisfy me. But this is not our reality. Because we cannot really control the world. We cannot really stop anything happening to me according to the will of the creator. But I just cheat myself as if I am the commander of my own existence. I am the commander of my own feelings. I am the commander of my own successes. Unfortunately, that is how I feel myself doing this as a result of neglect, carelessness. May Allah make us realize our reality and accordingly live in this world, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. For just like well-ordered creatures and wise and gracious divine disposals occur on top of the earth, which we observe, the same occurs beneath it. Indeed, divine wisdom and favor are manifest there in a more wondrous and strange way in regard to wisdom and order. See how like wax those hard, unfeeling, mighty rocks display a softness towards the creational commands, and how they offer no resistance or hardness to the delicate waters, the fine roots and silken veins, which are divine officials, as though like a lover, the rock's heart melts at the touch of those delicate, beautiful things and becomes earth in their path. Any questions here before we move on to the next part of the verse, or reflections or understandings? Go ahead.
I'd like to share something if I can.
Please go ahead.
When Mr. Ali Murmur, he spoke about ideas of jealousy and hardness of hearts. I think it's really interesting with this verse that when it speaks to one's hard heart, it addresses us as your. So it's already invoking like a hardness, defensiveness. It's like you specifically, you're addressed as having a hard heart. And then when it goes on to speak about those who have soft hearts, guided by the wisdom, it forces it addresses them as they. So it's saying you have the hard hearts, they have the soft hearts, and they're favored. And just by this, it causes like a jealousy. It's like, why do I have the hard heart? Why do they have the soft heart? And it's only by like the mechanism he's describing, you have to surrender by going, oh, Mr. Ali mentioned this. You can't choose like your state. So by surrendering and saying, I do have a hard heart, they have the soft hearts, it's kind of invoking that softness of they and versus you with the hard heart.
Thank you. I see two hands up. Brother Ali, go ahead.
In addition to, thank you, Ali, our friend Ali. So it was a good comment. I would like to draw my attention to this, towards the creational commands, this expression. Now, the whole universe, everything within the universe, everything, and including my body, including my existence, definitely obeys with no other choice the command of the creational commands of the Creator. As far as our creation side is concerned, we cannot, or nothing can really resist against God's command. It means God's will. God willed me as I am. God willed me to have my human feelings. I don't want to list them. You know, all the human feelings, consciousness, all other kinds of reasoning, questioning, concerning, all the human feelings. They exist only in the way that they are willed to exist by their source of existence. Nothing can resist God's will. The only thing that I can do is, by using my choice, I can reject this reality only in my imaginary world, not really in my real existence. These creational commands must be taken as an example, as examples by us, so that everything obeys as they are created according to the will of their Creator. Why I don't obey the will of my Creator and accept His reality? He is my owner, He is my master, and by giving me the freedom, I have to acknowledge my position in the world. Because I have consciousness, I can question myself and say that, and ask the question, who are you in this world? This freedom of choice needs to be used by taking the example of the creation. Everything obeys the will of their Creator. Why I shouldn't really obey and accept, surrender myself to my Creator and use my feelings for the purpose that they are created? What is the purpose? It's very simple. The owner of these feelings, the one who created me with these feelings, I have to utilize them in order to acknowledge my Creator rather than appropriating them to myself, saying that I don't like, why this thing didn't happen as I wanted, and why I should be in an inferior position compared to something else, somebody else. All these kind of imaginary things, none of them are real, really. None of them are real. Just we are making up. The reason is we may not have the intention to deny the Creator. This is not the subject here. We may accept that everything is created, and I am also created by a one who is the owner of the universe, but How about my feelings? The problem is there. How am I going to use my feelings? According to the will of my creator or according to the will of my own choice? I have been given this false option, no reality. Even I say, okay, I have done something, and as a result, I gained this. This is my property. I have been given the consciousness to realize that this is not your property. It is given to you. Everything. Even, there's a friend here, even your shirt is not your property. It is given to you to use it. You are given the permission to use it. You didn't create the shirt. I didn't give the existence to my shirt. For example, the simple thing. So ego is really, that is what the Quran is describing. Ego can take an attitude harder than a rock, because rocks obey God's command, and ego represents the disobedience, rejection of God's will, not acknowledging it. When I say, I am created by God, all right, but I'm going to use my desire as the criteria or the prime purpose of satisfaction, so that I will satisfy my desire, rather than acknowledge the creator and satisfy my reality, my consciousness. Unfortunately, when I am not aware of myself, what am I doing in this world? If I don't ask this question, I find myself that I am interpreting and acting only on the acts of my own egoistic attitude, ego-centered attitude. I find myself this. I don't feel shy to disclose my reality. So we have to take lesson from the creational commands. Creational commands in English, maybe God is a commander-in-chief. No, the will, he chooses to exist, to create something. So something should exist. That is his command. It's his will, in fact. The Quran uses this command as a result of God's will. But it seems to be in our practical life, human life, God is commanding the rocks to back down, tremble, or give way the water. So water is so soft, but really water, it can go through the rocks by eroding them. Although, for example, the roots of the plants go through the rocks and really crack them. We talked about it last week. What I understood from here, why don't I choose to submit myself to the Creator and be consistent within myself? And as we are going to read, if we have not, I think we read, divine act as a divine official. It means I am employed. I am an employee by my Creator. So I have to do what he wants me to do. I am employed. I don't own myself. I don't own my feelings. This is the problem, that when we are not careful about ourselves, I find myself that falling into this problem, as if I am going to really control my life and declare my superiority over other beings so that I can use all these things according to my will. No, I can't. I have to use it according to the will of my Creator, because he is the real owner. That is why belief in God requires really surrendering his will. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the following phrase says, it's a phrase from a verse. It says, and behold, there are some that fall down for awe of God. Again, talking about rocks. The Quran shows the tip of a vast truth, which is like this, like in the event of Moses asking for the vision of God and the famous mountain crumbling at the divine manifestation, and the rocks being scattered through the manifestations of divine glory in the form of earthquakes, and the mountains shaking, most of which are like great monoliths formed of solidified liquid, and certain other geological occurrences. Through such awesome manifestations of glory, the rocks fall from the high summits of the mountains and are broken up. Some of these crumble and being transformed into earth, becoming the source of plants. Others remain as rocks, and rolling down to the valleys and plains are scattered. They serve many purposes in the works of the earth's inhabitants, by being utilized in their houses, for example, and prostrating in submission before divine wisdom, and power for certain hidden instances of wisdom and benefits. They take on the form of being at the command of the principles of divine wisdom. The evidence that they're leaving their high places out of awe, choosing lower places in humble fashion, and being the means of those significant benefits. And that they are neither futile nor acting of their own accord, nor are objects of chance, but that within the disorder, through the wise disposals of one all-wise and all-powerful, they are within a wise order, not apparent to the superficial eye. The evidence for this are the purposes and benefits attached to the rocks and the perfect order and fine art of the shirts adorned and embossed with the jewels of fruits and flowers with which the bodies of the mountains down which they roll are clothed. These testify in a decisive fashion which cannot be doubted. Thus, you have seen how valuable these three parts of the verse are from the point of view of wisdom. I'll pause here. Any questions or reflections? First, the very first part of the paragraph is, the imagery or just imagining this happening is overwhelming. But do we have any questions here or reflections? Okay. Go ahead, Brother Ed.
What we understand from all these descriptions or interpretations of the verse that the author presents to us is, I think, that we should never read the Quran literally and say, look, the Quran is talking about rocks. And the Quran is blaming the children of Israel. How horrible people they were. They disobeyed God, so that as the Quran explains, that the prophet Moses said, please God, relieve me from these people, and I have nothing more with these people, and I don't want to deal with these people. There is a verse in the Quran that Moses complained about the children of Israel. What it means? I am not one of the members of the children of Israel, and I have not seen Moses, and I didn't really disobey Moses. So those people's problems. No, we should say, definitely, God is telling me what happened in reality as a real lived example experienced by human beings. I'm telling you what really happened in the past, that this took place in the form of human relationship with their prophets that I employed for them. So I have to take this saying, this is a real story. Telling me, my Creator is telling me for myself. Not that he's telling me the story. So I have to say, who is my Moses? I have to say, yes, am I the children of Israel? Yes, I am. My Moses is, in my time, the Prophet Muhammad, messenger of God, peace and blessings be upon him. And I am the children of Israel, the follower of a prophet with a message presented to me. Exactly. I am aware of the Quran, and I am aware of the Prophet Muhammad as presenting his message to me in his practical life. So I have to say, look, this Quran tells me about the situation of rocks and comparing it with the attitude of the children of Israel, what is going on in their heart. I would say, this is directly related to me. Am I having the same hardness in my creation, so that Allah, my Creator, is giving me an example of what happened before? Why? Because I may do the same thing. And so it will be a guidance for me rather than talking about somebody else. It is the Quran is speaking to me by my Creator. I have to relate it to myself. And if we are careful about this method of reading even the narrations of the miracles of the prophets in the Quran, they must be directly related to us. Of course, human mind can see the wisdom in the example. And the best way for any human being to understand an abstract subject by giving an example, concrete example. That is why Quran follows this way, because I am created with the ability to understand abstract matters. For example, if someone tells me, your heart is very hard, you don't really have any real choice in your life, I would say, how? I am just doing what I know as reality. Of course, when I say my reality is self-centered considerations or choices, arrogant choices, not accepting my reality. And this example shows me that, look, even the rocks obey God's will. They cannot resist nothing, even the galaxies cannot resist. So the Quran gives the practical example. Yeah, they crumble down and they become a bed for plants and God's creation, so that I can really understand that the causes, the things cannot be the source of existence of anything, because they are completely contradictory in their existence or the nature of their existence. One of them is just matter, which has no quality of beauty, usefulness, purposefulness, wisdom, and all sorts of qualities that the things are. We love them. My creation is the same. But they are all coming from out of rocks originally in the example of creation. So I have to say, look, why I should not let in my choices grow plants, animals, so they will demonstrate beautifully in an attractive way to the people whom I am interacting with. So they will say, look at this man who is so humble. He is being submissive to the will of his creator, not distorting his feelings, and how sweet, lovable character he has. Mild character, submissive character, not arrogant at all. So that if anybody sees me in my behavior, he will see that my action reflects nothing but will of my creator, the will in the creation of my feelings, so that I'm using these feelings according to the way that they are created for. So they will say, oh, this person is really an example of manifestations of the qualities of his creator. He's not really distorting them, spoiling them, and especially denying and appropriating these feelings to his own will, rather than according to the will of its creator. I can understand easily by seeing this example given in the Quran, but of course, this is an example given through in other people and experienced in their life and narrating it to me by my creator in order to guide me, give me a guidance and show me the right path. Thank you. Sorry for speaking a lot.
No, it's okay. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we can stop here so that we can discuss the last trace of the verse next week. Any final questions? Anything you want to share? Okay. Well, thank you very much. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم.